Hi, Julia. Welcome back. It's really good to see you again. Um, how have you been doing since the last time we met last week?
I've been doing all right, miss. Just the same old stuff, just angry and, just stressing out over everything that we talked about last week.
Okay, I think that's fair. Julia, do you mind showing your face a little bit more on the camera? So
Okay.
maybe like a little bit more. It's just because if we were to meet in person, we would be sitting, in an office space where we would be face to face. And I know that Zoom is very different and can be kind of taxing on someone, but it helps me to, kind of read the situation and get to know you better and see how you're feeling.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say it like this.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so it sounds like you kind of have a lot going on, and we will get to that. I'm here to help you kind of process through that. But before we discuss that, I did want to check in with you about a big term that we went over last time called confidentiality. Do you remember talking about that?
Yeah, I remember, but just so I know, can you just remind me again what it is?
Of course. So basically what confidentiality means is, what we talk about here during our sessions is confidential. In other words, what that means is that this is a safe place. What you share with me, I'm not going to go and, share that with everyone I know or anyone that you know. However, there are three exceptions to that. Okay. And those all are surrounded by the topic of safety. So one time I may need to break confidentiality and share with another trusted person, may need to, take steps to keep you safe, is if you share with me that someone is harming you. And this isn't just, there's different forms of harm, right? There's someone could insult you, someone could, kind of hit you on the side of the arm jokingly. But that's not what we're talking about here. This is, more severe harm, anything like abuse of any sort, physical, emotional, psychological, sexual. There's many times that people could cause harm. So that may be something that I may need to disclose to, like a supervisor. We may need to take steps to keep you safe. Another time that I may need to break that confidentiality is if you share with me that you are causing harm to someone else or are, wanting to cause harm to somebody else, and we have a reasonable, um, you know, reason for thinking that you could actually go through and hurt somebody in that similar way where it's a severe harm. And then the third one is one that people don't always think about. But if you disclose to me that you are wanting to hurt yourself, okay, I know that's kind of sounds really important and really difficult to talk about. But if you share that with me, I'm going to try to do everything I can do to keep you safe. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, and I remember from last week now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad that we covered that and that, kind of have a more confident understanding in that term. So now that we've kind of, caught up to speed on what, therapy is and what confidentiality means, I want to kind of dive into a little bit of that stress that you were talking about. So you said that you've had some issues with, your anger because of the stress that you're feeling at work and at home. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I know we kind of talked about this last week, but like basically it's still like things are still the same. Like just this is my first job at McDonald's and I always get those rude customers. And I'm also like applying to colleges because I want to go to school after high school. And with my, I don't know if you remember, but with my mom just recently going to prison and just because she lost her job and she has to like steal to help provide for food. And so now I'm the one being left with my dad to have it like to have to work and just provide for the house. And it's just like it's so stressful. And then I just get very angry whenever I get a rude customer. That's the main thing that's bugging me.
Okay. So, yeah, it sounds like you've kind of got a lot of weight on your shoulders right now. And that, when you end up going to work at the end of, maybe your school day and someone comes up to you at work with a rude comment, that's kind of like that final straw that broke the camel's back. Am I hearing that kind of right?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And I just wish I could be able to control my anger, because there's times where I'll just, if the customer gives me attitude, I'll give them attitude back, or I'll like cuss at them, or even sometimes I'll do other things and I just let my anger get the best out of me.
Okay. So, you say that you may react kind of that same tone that a customer may approach you with when it's, like a rude comment or something like that. How often would you say that you're engaging in this kind of behavior?
Well, I work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days, and I get a rude customer at least every day, and I let that affect me because I take it personal.
Yeah, that's, it's kind of hard not to, right? When someone's having a conversation with you, it's hard not to feel that they're angry at you directly, right? And especially with everything else going on, that's really hard to, have all these other stressors, and then the last thing you need is someone yelling at you. Um, what would be the ideal situation for you? From you say that you kind of react angrily pretty much every day at work, right? You said this happens kind of every time a customer you, or at least once a day every time you work. Um, what would you like to see happen?
Well, like, obviously, if I could like go like this, I would want to not get angry at all. But realistically, I would just at least maybe like I would want to at least cut it down till maybe, I know our session's kind of ending soon. We have a short session today, miss. But maybe, I don't know, maybe till next time I see you, maybe cut it down to 3 instead of 5. I don't know if that's like, does that sound good? Or I don't know if that's such a thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely very possible, and I think that's a very realistic goal that you have. That it's not expecting to. Well, I'm not going to get angry ever again, right? Things happen and things upset us, and so I think that's a really good strength that you're able to point out that, you know, I'm not going to just not ever get angry again, but let's try to reduce that. Um, have you thought of ways that you might try to reduce that anger?
Um, Somewhat. I don't know. I really like what you said earlier, and then you kind of mentioned it last session that maybe if I put myself in the other person's shoes, like I know you last time you did mention a lot of other people go through the same stuff as me, but maybe a little different. So I think maybe if I try putting like being a little more like feel for them, you know?
Exactly. I think that, like we talked about, it's easy to feel that they're targeting us when they're having a conversation with you, right? Um, but there could be other reasons that they might be behaving that way. Maybe they have a similar situation like you and have a lot of stress on their plate right now, and maybe they didn't mean to yell at you, but they're not in the best mood, or maybe they're hangry. Maybe when someone doesn't eat all day, like they get really irritable, and so there could be a number of reasons, and they don't know you, so it's not to say that that means anything about you. So I think that's really great that you're able to recognize that. And I think for the time being, before we meet again next week, I would like to see you try to have that perspective the next time that you have interactions with people at work. Um, and then let's talk about that the next time that we meet, and how that made you feel, and if that made a difference for you.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely work on that until like, the next time we meet. But I really appreciate your help.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for participating, and let's meet, next week, the same day and time, if that works for you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I'll see you next week, miss.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Julia. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
And
So, okay, so I don't know if you could hear us, Professor, but now we're gonna go ahead and switch over.
I hear you. I'm listening.
Okay. Um, so we'll go ahead and switch over to where Taylor plays the client now.
Okay, take a
Yeah.
deep breath, get some water, Julia, if you need it.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready, Taylor?
let me get into my character.
Okay. Hi, Taylor. Nice to see you again. How have you been?
Hi. I want to say that I'm good because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm good" all the time, but I've been better.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get into that a little bit, I know this is barely our second session, and I just really want to make sure you understand the concept of confidentiality. Do you remember talking about that last week?
Yeah, I remember we talked about this as a safe space, but I didn't remember the other details. Could you go over that again?
Yeah, of course. So basically, like what confidentiality is, it's a big part of our work together. So what that does, it helps us build a trusting relationship. And that way, you're able to become comfortable with me. And this way you're able to share your feelings and your thoughts about like how your day is going, maybe your week. Um, so however, there are a few times where I would have to break confidentiality. But before I get into that, do you have any questions so far?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, like I said, there are a few times where I would have to break confidentiality. So one of the times where I would have to break confidentiality is if someone is harming you. So this could probably be another adult or someone that has more power over you. And so basically what I mean by harm is just if, your life is being put into danger or jeopardy. And another time where I would have to break confidentiality is if you do make me aware of someone is harming someone else. Like let's just say in the house you have another sibling or another adult who is dependent of whoever's the head of the household. So that is another time where I would have to break confidentiality. But before I, finish off with the other times I would have to break that, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I think that makes sense so far.
Okay, well, then a few other times where I would have to break confidentiality is if you let me know that you do want to harm someone else. So basically, what that means, like the other ones, harm meaning by you want to put someone else's life in danger or jeopardy. And then one last time I would have to break confidentiality is if you do let me know that you want to harm yourself. So, however, I just want to let you know that during our counseling sessions, we will work together so that way we could reduce the chances of getting to that point. And so, with that being said, do you have any questions?
Um, I don't think so. I think that makes sense. I think, it sounds like you'd only really share that information with someone else if, someone's not being safe, whether that's like me or someone else. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you said, it's just all for safety. And it's not like to get anyone in trouble. I just want to ensure like safety is number one key. Um, so does that sound good with you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. So I know in the beginning of the session you did mention how things could be better. And what did you mean exactly by that?
Um, Basically, I'm a worrier. I've always worried, but I've got a lot on my plate right now. Just with the pandemic, and then I'm in grad school, and my finals are approaching. They're all due next week, and it's just been, studying and writing papers left and right, and then I always worry that because I'm focusing on my studies so much and, I have to stay home, that I'm not able to give enough time to my husband. I just recently got married. Um, and to my friends and family that I'm not able to see. They're always like reaching out to me, asking me like, hey, I'm going through a really hard time, or my other friends and family have COVID now. And, they need me to support them. And so I feel like I'm being pulled in all these different directions. And it really it consumes my thoughts all the time, and then sometimes I just can't even deal with the things that I need to do, and so then I just sit there just like freaking out that I'm going to fail and I'm not good enough.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying, it's completely normal to feel that way with all the life changes that are going on. I just want to congratulate you on being newlywed. So congratulations. And it really does sound, so I know you said you have friendships that you're committed to, as well as recently married and graduate school. Those are a lot of accomplishments you've had so far. And it really just shows your commitment that whatever you put your mind to, you succeed in. With all that being said, I know you do say you have a lot of worries going on, but what would you say the main worry is that is causing so much stress upon you?
Um, I mean, like I want to say everything, obviously, but I think the thing that's the most important is the one that's like really time sensitive, which is my finals. I mean, those are due in a week, and so after that, then I'm sure I'll find something else to worry about. But that's like the main thing, because if I don't focus on those, then I will fail. So
Yeah. And so I just, want to understand where you're coming from. And so you said you don't want to fail your final. So what makes you maybe kind of think maybe you might fail it? I just want to see.
I mean, I have gotten really good feedback. I really haven't had like bad feedback, but I don't know. I just worry like something's just gonna come out in left field, and I'm just not gonna do really well at all, or like, because I am stressing out so much that like I'm not gonna be able to put in the amount of effort, and that might reflect in my final score, and so I think that worries me a lot. But I mean, I haven't really failed before, so I don't know, but I'm scared that that's gonna happen. Grades
Yeah.
just mean so much.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. You're a grad student, your schoolwork is very important to you. And so I know you did say you've always had good feedback from your professors and just other classmates. So that just shows your work ethic is paying off already. And I'd just like to share a quote with you that I've heard before. So it's basically what it is. The quote is, assume safety unless proven otherwise. So basically what that means, you kind of want to assume the best until maybe, like you're proven otherwise. How do you think you could probably apply that to your situation?
I mean, I think like you said, like that makes a lot of sense. Like worrying about like my friends and my relationship and everything, like there's not really anything going wrong. So I probably shouldn't really have that on my worry list right now. I think that probably like focusing just mainly on my finals, because that is something that if I don't put the work in, then something bad would happen. Um, so yeah, I think if I just focus more on, you know, things aren't really going wrong, so I probably am okay. I shouldn't worry about that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So what you just said right now, how you you have been doing well in your classes and you've never failed a class. So I don't see a reason why you wouldn't do good on your finals. It seems like you have a lot of strengths, you have dedication, you're able to build relationships with your friends and your husband. And I think if you continue your work ethic and you dedicate it to your schoolwork, I think you'll be fine. So how do you think maybe if you change your mindset and your thinking, how do you think you would probably do until the next time we meet? Because, our session's almost ending soon.
Yeah, I think that'll probably help me focus a lot more on like what's important rather than trying to be pulled in all these different directions and worrying about all the relationships and the holidays and the finals and everything, and just really focus on finals and not the other things that I worry about. I mean, that's easier said than done, but I think I can definitely try that. I think it'll work.
Yeah, of course. I think if you put your mind to it, it seems like like I said, you do have a strong work ethic. So I do believe in you, Taylor. But before I do let you go, do you have any questions at all before, I see you next week?
No, I don't think so. But thank you for listening. I think that this will help.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time. And I also look forward to seeing the great effort you're going to do,
All right. Bye.
Bye.